I'm going to share three unique seller situations where sellers didn't think they were going to be able to sell their home or didn't know how, and they contacted me. And not only did we figure out a plan, but we got them sold. And a couple of them, actually, all three of these, I sold within a week. So let's get started. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Ron Jones. This is my channel, Life in Twin Falls. I'm a real estate agent here in southern Idaho. I go from Mountain Home to the west, all the way out to Burley to the east. I go up to Sun Valley and down to southern Idaho, almost to the Jackpot, Nevada border. Let's go through these three unique situations, and maybe it'll strike a chord with you. Maybe you've got one of these situations and you're not sure what you can do, and that's what I'm hoping this will help some of you. The first unique situation is a young investor who thought he wanted to get into the real estate game and buy an investment property. He's got some relatives that do it. They buy, they live in it, they fix it, they rent it out, they buy, they rent it, they live in it, they fix it, they rent it out, and they're slowly building, 5 or 6 rental properties, and it's a great way to create generational wealth. This gentleman came to me and he said, I'm ready to do it. He moved out of his parents' house. We got him into a great property at a great price, but about 4 months into it, he's decided this isn't for him. He wants to sell, he wants to move back home. He just wants to focus on his job and save up his money. And so he came to me and he said, I know I'm probably going to lose money on this deal, but I have to sell it. Can you help me? We did a lot of strategy sessions, researching, looking to see what we could do to increase value as much as possible right then and there. And ended up putting it on the market. It's on my TikTok channel. If you're interested, I called it the 4 month challenge. And lo and behold, within the first week, we actually got asking price, and we're past inspection. We're at the appraisal now. But he's going to walk away with more than he paid for it. And he just bought this. This is July 2024. He just bought it in February, closed on it in March of this year, and he's going to walk away with probably about $10,000 to $12,000 in his pocket, which typically, if you sell within 2 years, you've got capital gains tax and all this other thing that takes away and eats into your profitability. So there was number one, the young man who wanted to get into investment and changed his mind. We got him out of it, and he didn't lose any money. Number two seller was another very interesting call. A gentleman called me and he said, I've got 80 acres that I sold to a potato company out here in southern Idaho, and they're going to use my 80 acres as kind of a storage facility for all their potatoes throughout the year. And right as we were signing the paperwork, they said, by the way, get that house off the property. He's got a manufactured home, a really nice 3 bed, 2 bath, modern manufactured home with a detached garage. The potato company said they didn't want it and he needed to get it off the property. So he had an even shorter timeline than the first guy I talked about, because this property is going to close in October. Again, we're at June 12th. He called me about 2 weeks ago, and so we looked up all the things pertaining to, like, what's the transportation cost to move a manufactured home. It's about $15,000 to $20,000. It had been determined real property because it's on a foundation, and when you put a manufactured home on a foundation, you have to fill out paperwork at the county planning and zoning and have it converted to real property, and then you get taxed by the county assessor as if it's real property. But banks can then loan on it. So if you were to resell it in the future, you want it to be real property if you're worried about resale value. Now that he wants to sell it, I called the title company and I said, this is the scenario. What do we need to do? And they said, there's actually paperwork to reverse the application to become real property. And he needs to fill that out and revert this manufactured home back to personal property so that it can then be moved, et cetera, et cetera. So he started on that process. I actually got him the paperwork. He took it down to planning and zoning. He worked on the application to reverse the real property. I went to work on photography and setting it up and getting it on MLS. And within a week and a half, it wasn't a full price offer, but we got a decent offer. We countered a couple times, and he's now under contract and he's passed inspection. And there is another scenario where you might think, how am I going to sell a manufactured home that's on a foundation, but I got to get rid of it as soon as I sell it? And that's one of the ways we got it done. Number three seller scenario, which isn't quite as unusual, and unfortunately it happens, and it's the product of a divorce. A young lady came to me and said, I've got this house. I got it in the divorce. I was going to rent it, but I just really don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with the old memories. I want to move on. Can you help me sell the house and go from there? And so I looked into it. I did comps to make sure I've had a good market value, cleaned it up a little bit, took some really good professional photographs, got it on the market, and within 4 days, got it under contract, slightly under asking price, but with no concessions. And so again, someone who was worried about how am I going to sell this? My husband used to take care of all these things for me, was able to come in. We sat down, we had a consultation, we figured out all the angles, cleaned it up, got the great photos, got it on the market at the appropriate price, and within 4 days had an offer that didn't even we didn't even have to counter on. We were happy with it. So there are 3 different seller scenarios that you might think could be problematic, but we overcame them. I got them all under contract. If you find yourself falling into any of these categories or a different category that has you concerned about whether or not you can sell a property, give me a call. I'm at ronjones.me, or you can find my contact information here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope this helps.